all I've done since I was 16 is photography, and I tried to get out of it. So I went to work for a bank, and I only was only there for, I think it was 8 or 9 months. And I really didn't get on with the corporate lifestyle at all. And I resigned on my birthday as a present to myself, because the final straw was I went in one day wearing a pair of zebra skin shoes, and I got called into the manager's office, and they were like, "Martin, what makes you think it's acceptable to wear zebra skin shoes in a bank?" And I just couldn't think of a reason why it wasn't acceptable. And I think this is why a couple of times I've tried to get out of photography to do something different, but then I've always come back to it, because it is absolutely amazing.
All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Zenfolio Live. I'm Robert with Zenfolio Customer Success. I want to say thanks for joining us today on the live stream. We're going to be doing something that we haven't done in a while. Hopefully you guys are excited. We're going to be doing some live site reviews today. This is something we used to do every single Tuesday, but then we decided to switch it up a little bit. So we're going to bring it back maybe like once a month. We're going to be doing this. So today we're going to be doing live site reviews. So just to kind of talk to you about how these site reviews work, we're going to be reviewing 3 websites absolutely live. Each site is going to get 15 minutes per review. These sites are going to be chosen randomly by you guys. You guys are going to be helping me pick some numbers. That's going to help us choose our sites randomly. And then the third and final site that we review is going to come from one of you guys who are hanging out with us, whether you're on Zoom or hanging out with us on YouTube. So if you have never submitted your site to be reviewed, Dennis is going to throw the link out in the chat for you guys on Zoom. If you're watching on YouTube, the link to submit your site is going to be down below the video in the description. Make sure that you get your sites in there today so we can get, there'll be a chance for those to get reviewed. Since it has been a little while since we've done this, I thought I would bring somebody on to kind of explain how this works. All right. Thank you, Robert. I want to explain how these site reviews work. Whenever you submit your site to be reviewed through the site submission form, it's given a random number. And then during the live stream, Robert, I will ask for a random number, and that is used to determine the site that is reviewed next. Now, you're not going to be able to see these random numbers when they're assigned to your sites. That would be unfair. Obviously, everybody would be throwing out their site's number, and I want to make sure that this is as fair as possible. Now, if you submit your site multiple times, it's going to notice the duplicate entries, and it's going to basically keep them together, and they're going to get the same random number assigned. So submitting your site multiple times doesn't necessarily increase your chance of your website being selected for review. Now, what happens if your site is not selected for review? Well, it's going to stay in our backlog of sites that have been submitted with its random number, and hopefully somewhere along the way that random number will get chosen and your site will get reviewed. I hope that makes sense. Now back to me for the live stream. Enjoy, you guys. All right, that was kind of awkward. In a way of announcements really quick, next week on Zenfolio Live, super excited about this live stream. We're going to be talking about preparing your photography business for growth with business coach and photographer Darcy Benacosa. I hope I'm saying her last name right. If I get it wrong, I'm sure she's going to correct me next week when we have her on there. If you missed it, we did Wide Angle Wednesday yesterday. A lot of fun. That was on Facebook. If you guys aren't registered for Wide Angle Wednesday, you need to make sure that you get registered. Those happen the first Wednesday of the month, and those are a Facebook live stream, and you can also join via Zoom. If you're watching on YouTube, the link to register for Wide Angle Wednesday is below the video in the description. If you're hanging out with us on Zoom, I'm going to have Dennis throw that link for you guys in the chat. Big shout out to Jeremy Liu, Janet Stewart, I said her name right finally, and our very own Richard Volz for hanging out with me yesterday. We had a lot of fun. We talked about portrait sessions, what you need to know on your first portrait session, the kind of knowledge that you need to have, the kind of gear that you need to have, and we answered some audience questions as well. So it was a lot of fun. And again, we do those the first Wednesday of the month. We have a panelist of photographers come on and answer different photography related questions. Last thing in the way of announcements, make sure that you're sharing your favorite fall, soon to be winter photos. I got to figure out, who knows, when is the first day of winter? Does anybody know? If somebody knows, make sure you throw it in the chat for me so I don't have to go look it up. Soon to be winter photos, but right now, make sure that you're sharing your favorite fall photos. And when you do that, use hashtag Zenfolio Photographers for a chance to be featured on either our ZenfolioLive intro or on the or on one of our social media channels. All right. Really quick, somebody watching on either YouTube or Zoom, throw a number in the chat, and I need a number between 1 and 105. So you guys throw a number out in the chat 1 through 105. That is going to determine the first site that we review. We're going to get to that in just a second. One more thing, hanging out with me. I've already said a couple of times, but hanging out with me, taking care of you guys, both on Zoom and on YouTube. I've got Dennis, so make sure that you show him some love. I really appreciate him jumping on here and helping me out during the live stream. And maybe we can get him to play his trumpet.
Hey, everyone. My name is...
There we go. Maybe we can get him to play his trumpet for us sometime on Zenfolio Live, since he's playing the trumpet. All right, the first number I saw in the chat was from Zoom, from Lynn hanging out with us on Zoom. That's number 75. I'm going to go grab website 75. We're going to get 15 minutes up on the clock, and we will get these site reviews going. Don't forget, if you guys haven't submitted your site yet, make sure that you get that site submitted for a chance for it to be reviewed today. All right, site number 75 looks like it's going to be JA Design and Photo.zenfolio.com. Let me get my screen share back up here for you guys so we can make sure that that is all going to work. And let me just get this window sized in here. There we go. One second. I should have had this set up already. Sorry, you guys. Okay, here we go. JA Design and Photo. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to throw it out to you guys on Zoom. So if you guys want to check it out, and I'm going to throw it out to you guys on YouTube as well if you want to check out the site. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to throw 15 minutes up on the clock and we'll get the review going. All right, so just starting out here on the homepage, I definitely know notice there's a couple of things going that are kind of throwing me off a little bit, and it's a little bit weird. So that being that we kind of have this up here with your name, and then we also have a logo right here. We have this site menu, and then we have this site menu right here. All right, and this is taking up a lot of real estate. It's taking up almost a good, I would say that's close to, it's definitely at least a third of the top part of your website. And it's definitely taking up at least, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the image cutting off up here. And so what's going on here is that you are actually showing your homepage logo and your homepage menu. And then you're also showing your header menu and your header logo or your site header. The homepage on Zenfolio is the only page that has the capability to actually show a homepage logo and the homepage menu. And that is what this is right here. This is the homepage logo, and this is the homepage menu. Now, my suggestion for this would be to go into your site, go into customize view for your site, and I would turn off the homepage menu and the homepage logo, these two things right here. And what that's going to do is that's going to remove these two things right here. It's going to show your images in their full without these little overlay things over the top of them. And then what you will need to do is make sure that you get that logo uploaded into your header so that it shows up here. And then you'll want to make sure that you get this portfolio drop down, set it to also show in your header menu. Now, I definitely am a big fan of using the site header menu for everything on your website, the homepage, all the way to your galleries and any custom pages. And the reason that I suggest using your site header, and this is your site header up here, is because that is the only logo or the only menu for the top up here that can actually show on all of your site. The homepage logo and homepage menu only show on your homepage. And you'll see that because as soon as we navigate away from this page, we're going to lose this section right here. So let's go ahead and check out your about page, which is the first page that you're showing here. And you're going to see right away that when we do that, we lose this navigation. So if I navigate to any of these site menus, right away, I am losing that portfolio drop down. And so as a visitor, right, never having interacted with your site whatsoever, and I always try to put myself in the shoes of a first-time site visitor. I always try to put myself into the as a site visitor, a first-time site visitor. And when I go in here and I don't know anything about your business, anything about your site, and I'm just learning about it, and I click on here, now I'm wondering, okay, well, I saw her about. Now, how do I get to that portfolio? How do I get back to that homepage? Well, most of us know here on Zenfolio, you can just click up here, but that's not super obvious. It might be something that your site visitors are not familiar with, right? And so that's why it would be nice to have that portfolio drop down set up in here. Now let's go back to the homepage really quick. I really wanted to draw a lot of attention to this because I do see this quite a bit. Images wise though, we're using the photo strip. The photo strip is really nice if you show a mixture of portrait orientated and landscape orientated images on your site. It actually force fits them in there. So let's kind of scroll through here really quick and just take a look at these images. Absolutely beautiful photos though. Beautiful, beautiful photos. You definitely have a very distinct style and just some gorgeous photos. Now, so far, I'm not really seeing any portrait orientated images. Yeah, so most of these are landscape or horizontally orientated. And I'm not counting, oh, maybe that was one. Nope, that wasn't one. I'm not counting. There are a lot of photos here. It's a good mix though. Some absolutely beautiful images. This is a really good mix. You could definitely consider going with a homepage slideshow. That's going to be an automatic slideshow where your viewers don't have to interact with it. And so my suggestions here for the homepage are, again, let's get this logo in your site header. Let's get the portfolio drop down brought up in your site header menu. Let's get rid of the site or the homepage logo, the homepage menu, and then maybe think about switching this images or your content here over to a slideshow so that it automatically plays. And I would definitely make sure that you whittle that image selection down a little bit, right? That you condense it down a little bit. We don't want people hanging out here watching a lot of, spending a lot of time on the homepage. We want them to see some really impactful, powerful images, and then we want them to move on to the portfolio or to contacting you. And so you really want to make sure that you handpick your absolute best images for your homepage. Okay. All right. So, and also in the way of site menu setup, I would definitely recommend that you lead with your portfolio, right? Because again, you want to think about your website from the point of acquisition. You want to think about this focused on bringing you new clients. Your existing clients, you already have them, you already have communication with them. They are secondary on your site. Your website should be about getting you new clients and client acquisition. And so you want to think about how can you strategically set up this site menu to lead new site visitors to a path to hopefully contacting you and hiring you as a photographer. So something that you want to think about there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at your portfolio really quick. So let's just go up here to Cleveland Wedding and let's take a look. All right, so some absolutely beautiful images. I do notice a big watermark on them. I am on the fence when it comes to watermarks. I know that some of you guys hanging out with us in the chat audience have some strong opinions about it. I definitely understand why, as photographers, we want to watermark our images, but then I've also seen people who have strong opinions about why they wouldn't want their portfolio images watermarked. What do you guys think in chat? Let us know. Do you watermark your portfolio images? Yes or no? Beautiful images. As you can see over here on the right-hand side, the scroll bar is kind of small. And what that tells me is that there are a lot of images in here. So lots and lots of images. And as you can see, it looks like they're kind of put in by, maybe event or wedding. And so as we scroll down, it kind of shows a handful of images, it looks like, from each wedding. All right, which is kind of cool, but there are a lot of images in here. So what I would consider doing, and you have a really nice portfolio, lots of beautiful images in here. What I would really consider doing is condensing this down. Usually what I recommend is 10 to 20 maximum of your very best images for this particular portfolio. So your very best wedding images. And what I would suggest to you here is that you have a lot of images kind of grouped together from the same wedding. And so how can you take these images and pick out the best from each wedding, but also make sure that you're picking out them and placing them in an order that as we scroll down, we're kind of seeing the story of a wedding through different images that you've taken through different weddings, right? So maybe one wedding has a really beautiful detail image, and you have that, and then another one has a really beautiful image of the bride and groom together, and you handpick the best images from your different weddings and organize them in a way that as we scroll down, we're seeing the story of a wedding, and we're also seeing your best 10 to 20 images. Now, the other few things that I'm going to mention here is the name of the gallery. For those of you guys who've hung out for site reviews before, you know that I talk a lot about SEO because SEO is super important. And anywhere that you can add text is going to help your SEO. And so this is the gallery title right here. And I know that as photographers, a lot of times when we're uploading and we're organizing these portfolios, we're naming these galleries for our organizational purposes, right? But what you want to remember is that title is important because search engines see it, and it's kind of like an H1 tag, right? It tells them a little bit about what this particular page is about. And so what I would suggest here is thinking about putting more information in this gallery title, right? You could say Cleveland wedding photography portfolio, or different things like that. Not trying to stuff a bunch of keywords in it, but just writing a title that makes sense to a visitor, but also has some strategic keywords in there, like the type of photography, specific locations, different things like that. Definitely something that you want to include in there. The other thing I want to mention too is that we see select photos, we see buy, we see share, and we see slideshow. Are all of these really necessary? Why is a visitor going to be selecting photos in your wedding portfolio? If you have a reason for that, maybe if you use this and you tell people, hey, go to my wedding portfolio, take a look at it. You can select some of these photos and add to your favorites for location ideas that you might have or something like that. If you're using it like that, and this is on intentionally, perfectly fine. If this was just something that was a gallery default and there's not really a need for it in this gallery, I would manually go into this gallery and turn off select photos. Now, the other thing is with the buy button here, that tells me that there's a price list applied to this gallery. Again, if that is something that is intentional, perfectly fine. I'm not saying don't try to sell your portfolio images. I'm just saying if it's not intentional, then think about maybe turning that off, trying to remove anything that could be potentially distracting in here from a visitor's view. Also, adding a gallery caption in here will help as well. Let's go down to the very bottom because the next thing that I'm looking for is going to be categories and keywords down here. All right, so down here at the bottom, excuse me. Down here at the bottom is where the categories and keywords show up. So there's usually, if you have categories and keywords turned on, there's usually a block down here that has the categories and keywords turned on. All right. With it turned off, what that tells me is that you have it turned off, first of all. But the second thing is that if you have taken the time to categorize and keyword your images, none of that is really being taken into consideration because Google can't see it. All right. And because Google can't see it, and because it's not visible to your site visitors, Google looks at that and says, okay, if visitors to the website can't see that text information, it must not be relevant. So we don't care about it either. We are going to just not pay attention to that. And so if you're taking the time to keyword and categorize your images, which I hope that you are, you want to make sure that that is set to show, and it's going to show in a nice little block down here. All right, I did a video. It hasn't been too long. It was a live stream, and then we chopped it up into a tutorial. It's called Best Settings for Your Online Portfolio. If Dennis can grab the link for that and throw it out in the YouTube chat and on Zoom chat, it was a recent live stream. It's got a lot of good tips for your portfolio, including SEO tips and things like that. All right, let's move on. Maybe I'll be able to get to something besides the portfolio. Let's go to your photo blog really quick. All right, and that is something that, and I'm glad this happened. This is something that I want to bring up. First of all, you guys can't see it, but let me drop this down here. So when I clicked on the A Beautiful Photo blog, watch what happens. It opens up in a new tab. Now, that's fine if that link is leaving your Zenfolio site. If you have a blog hosted out somewhere else, if we're leaving and losing your Zenfolio navigation, that's perfectly fine. But in this case, we still have your Zenfolio navigation. And so that's going to kind of confuse some people. So I would definitely make sure that you leave this to open up in a new tab. For sure. Guys, we got like 2 minutes left on this review. So I need a number in the chat, 105 to 207, and that is going to determine the next site that we review. So 105 to 207. I'm going to pull this number from YouTube since you guys on Zoom got the first number. So you guys on YouTube, there we go. I saw somebody throw a number out. Okay, but back to the site review. I'm not really sure what's going on in your blog here. Why these images aren't showing up. I'd have to come in here and take a look. But it looks like your last blog post was from October 15th, 2014. It doesn't really look like there's much information in here. So I'm not sure what's going on with the blog post here. Let's take another look. Looks like you're putting up some quotes. Okay, nice. I would probably consider removing the date. Last thing you want is people to come in here and to see this, no images, and see dates from many years ago and wonder, is JA Design and Photo still in business? They haven't put up a blog post in like a few years. So I probably recommend hiding the date there. Let's go get to your pricing page really quick. I got like 45 seconds left. All right. And so this looks like an entirely different website. Okay, so that is an entirely different website. When you click on pricing, it does take you over to a new tab. So nice job having that set up on an entirely different site here and having it open up in a new tab. Well done. That's what I definitely recommend if the link goes to a different tab. Let's go back and let's take a look at your contact page really quick. This looks like it's the built-in contact page, perfectly fine to use. Already built in, already made for you by Zenfolio. You don't have to do any coding or anything like that at all. So overall, I would say I would focus on working on this homepage, your homepage menu and your site header and all of that, and then working on some of your SEO, your titles, your captions, your keywords. But definitely thank you for submitting your site for review. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Let's go ahead and grab the next site. I said I was going to pull that one from YouTube, so it looks like that would be from Twist2118, said site 103. So I'm going to pull that up. Guys, after I do this next site review, we're going to be doing a site review from the live chat audience. So if you haven't submitted your site yet, make sure that you get it in. You've still got about 15, 20 minutes to get your site in there. And then we'll be reviewing a site from one of you guys who are hanging out with us today. All right, let me go pull up site 103 really quick. And that looks like it's going to be, let me just copy the link here. That's Ashley Hallas photography.com. I'm going to throw that link out to you guys on YouTube. And then I'm going to come over to Zoom and throw that out for you guys as well. And then I'm going to throw that link over here and we'll get 15 minutes up on the clock and get that review started. All right, Here we go. Let me get 50 minutes up on the clock. I will turn my video off and we'll get started. All right, so right out the gate, really like these photos, beautiful photos. You have a really big header. This is taking up a lot of room. And if I'm being quite honest, I really like this kind of scripted logo. But with it being so big, it does start to look like maybe it's pixelating just a little bit. So I would consider going in here and dialing the size of this header down just a little bit. Now, when you're in there playing with your site header, there is an option to scale your logo. So that's another reason why I recommend using the site header rather than the homepage, is because when you're uploading your logo into your site header, if you look in there, there's some options, and one of them says scale logo, and then you can check that option, and then you can change the size or the height of your site header, and your logo will scale to make sure that it fits in there. The other thing that you can do is you can add some padding to your logo as well. So not that there's anything wrong with this, that logo is really tight to the edges here, really tight to the edge right here, starting to give me a little bit of claustrophobia. So I would suggest maybe adding just a little bit of padding in here to kind of give it some space, let it breathe a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and keep moving down. So we're starting out with contact, sessions, wedding and events, and blog. So the first thing that I am left wondering and want to know is, where do I go to see your portfolio? Now, I'm assuming that your portfolio is under sessions, but I'm not entirely sure yet. Let's take a look at some of these photos as well really quick. Just some absolute beautiful photos. It's really obvious that it looks like you specialize in kids and family photography. I think I saw a newborn, maybe even a maternity photo. So, oh, there we go. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful photos. And right down here, specializing in small weddings, baby, bridal showers, family. Nice. This is nice having this on here. This welcome message is really nice. Guys, this is a really good welcome message. If you pay attention, it mentions the location right here, New Jersey, portrait and wedding photographer, specializing in small weddings, all good stuff, really good stuff right here. Throughout New Jersey, down here, look at this. That is perfect. That's the way you want to write a quick, short welcome message with some good information in it. Really nicely done. Okay, also looks like you have the book a session button turned on. Let's check that out really quick. Okay, so it looks like you have the book a session button turned on, but you haven't created a service yet. So definitely think about that, right? You've got some good SEO here on your homepage. What happens when you get a potential visitor and they land and they click book a session and they see no services, right? Something to think about. If you're going to have that show, even if you're on holiday right now, even if you're on vacation, even if you're not taking sessions, you can still have your services set up in there, and you can have your calendar blocked so that it just doesn't show any available dates. And what does that do? That makes it look like you are a high in demand photographer. And that is not a bad thing, to look very in demand as well. So something to think about there. Okay, let's follow the path that you've set up for us here on your site menu. We're going to go right here, hit contact. And this is the built-in contact page, perfectly fine to use, already set up, good to go. Super simple, which I love it, makes it nice and easy. Let's go to your sessions and let's check this out. Okay, so we're still yet to really see any kind of portfolio. So I'm left wondering, where do I go to see more examples of your work? But let's check this out. Nice. Okay. So this is a custom page. Nice job taking on a custom page. Looks like you've got some information on here. Very cool. Nice. Okay. Really nice. Beautiful images. One of the things that I would consider is maybe working these images into the text, right? You can do a lot with custom pages. They do take a little bit of playing around, but you can do a lot with custom pages, and you could have the image up here. You could use a table. You could do a lot of stuff with this custom page to really kind of give it a laid out, nice design. Other than that, I think it's really cool. A couple of things here. To book a session, please email. You could definitely turn this into a hot link right here. Custom pages give you the ability to go in and manipulate the text and do HTML and all of that stuff if you like doing that. But we also have tools in there under the custom page editor that make it really easy. So you could highlight that email address, make it a link. You can make it a link where when they click on it, it opens up their email client with an email already typed up, ready to go. And all they have to do is hit send. You can make it a link that sends them to your contact page, whichever you prefer. So definitely something to think about. Make sure that you take full advantage of that option here. All right. Okay, let's go back up and look at some more sessions. All right. So again, I'm still wondering, where am I going to go to see your portfolio? I really want to see your best examples of the type of photography that you do without all this distracting stuff. I think this is nice once I get to that point, but as a site visitor, right, I've seen a few of your images on the homepage, but then as I go through this, right, I want to see more examples of your work before I'm just kind of dropped into, okay, this is how much it's going to cost me. I want to see more examples of your work first. Just something to think about. Lots of text information here. Lots of good stuff. And then we go down here to the images. Now, the other thing that you could think about as well is that these custom pages will let you have banners up here. You could have slideshows. You could have small slideshows. Something to think about there just to kind of dress this up a little bit. It is a lot of text, but some absolutely beautiful images, just gorgeous photos. Very beautiful, very beautiful. And again, this is something now that you have the book me button on your site. This could very well be a gallery, right? Where you can have your images in a gallery, have a portfolio drop down, and then you could have that book a session button off to the right, where when they click on that, then they would see all of this session information and the session pricing and all of that. So something to think about there as well. All right, let's go take a look at your maternity. And on every single page, it's this is right here. Love this. This is nice, good SEO stuff. Definitely think about coming in here and formatting your text a little bit more. I did notice that you had some of these bold. Maybe think about doing some bullet points in here, just something to kind of dress it up a little bit more. Absolutely gorgeous photos though. Just beautiful photos. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at your lifestyle and newborn. Same thing right here. Lots of custom pages. Love seeing you take on these custom pages and do all this stuff. I would just really love to see something that caught my attention as a portfolio where I go to actually browse examples of your work without being dropped into these session prices. What do you guys think in chat? Do you guys think that a portfolio, is it obvious that, is it obvious that this is where we need to go to view examples of the work, or do you think that we need a stronger call out for portfolio in the drop down up here somewhere? Let me know, you guys. All right, let's keep going. Oh, I was on lifestyle and newborns. Let's go to engagements. Check it out. And guys, we got like 6 more minutes in this review. After that, I'm going to be taking a quick break. Dennis is going to jump on here and talk to you guys for a few minutes, maybe a few minutes. He's going to come on here and talk to you guys. And then when we come back after that break, we're going to be reviewing one of your sites live. So if you haven't submitted it yet, you still got a few minutes to get that in there and get it submitted. So make sure that you do that. All right, let's see. This was engagement session. Nicely done. Beautiful, just absolutely beautiful images though. Beautiful, beautiful photos. All right. And we've got mixed opinions. So we've got Dave Patrick on YouTube answering my question of, do you think it needs to have a stronger call out? Dave Patrick saying, dude, I think it's perfect like it is. And then on Zoom, we have Brandy saying, I think that people may not continue to scroll down and miss the pictures. And I totally agree. I just think for me, I feel like it needs a stronger call out to this is where examples. I love the design. I love that you've taken the time to do these. For me, I think that I wasn't ready to be dropped into this pricing and I wanted to see more examples of your work first. That's just my opinion. And that's all it really is my opinion. All right, let's keep moving on. Let's go check out your weddings and events. All right, New Jersey micro wedding photographer for small event. Love this. This is so cool. All right. Oh, this is super cool. This is a custom page. Not sure what's going on right here. This kind of weird blank space right here. So you might want to definitely come in here. My guess is that it probably has something to do with this custom coding that's in here. So you might want to take a look at why it's creating this kind of weird blank space. But this is just really cool. This is a nice, all of your custom pages have been nicely done. Let's keep going. Lots of images in here. Lots of just absolutely beautiful images in here. But I still think I would really love to see these in a gallery. Let's keep going. Wedding albums. All right. Add-ons, parent album, starting it. Very cool. I love that you've taken the time to create all of these custom pages. Lots of good information in here. Love that you have these photos, these examples of the albums, all of this stuff. This is just really, really nicely done. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's check out your, so one thing I really feel like I'm missing, Ashley, is an about you page. Right. Again, thinking about visitors from a visitor's point of view, somebody who has no idea who you are, right? I always try to approach these reviews from a visitor's point of view. And when I'm looking for somebody to hire or to work with or something like that, obviously the first thing that I look at is their work, right? Is their work good? Do I like their style? Do I like what they're putting up? Do I like the message that their work sends out? But after that, right, the next thing is kind of either pricing or do I like the person, right? Because that's super important to me, especially as photographers, right? We know that the chemistry that we have with our clients and that our clients have with us is super important. And so I want to hire somebody who I know that I'm going to like, who I know that I'm going to get along with. And so the best way for me to know that is to have some kind of about page with an about message. I like about pages that are super personal, that are not really rigid and professional, that are really intimate, that like tell me what you're listening to, about your family, the story and all of that. Because what I'm looking for is, now that I've seen your work, I'm like, wow, beautiful, beautiful images. And you're in my price range, you're in my budget. Now I'm asking, am I going to like this person? Is this going to be somebody that I'm going to connect with? Are we going to have a good time? Or is this going to be somebody who's really stiff and demanding and just wants to do everything their way? And so that, I think that's something that you can do with a really good about pages. You can really let the client know if you and the client are going to get along. And of course, you want them to feel like they're connected to you and that they're going to get along. And so I would definitely recommend having an about page. I think that that's going to be super helpful. I think that for me, your website is beautiful. Your images are absolutely gorgeous. Lots of beautiful stuff on here. The custom pages are amazing. It looks like you are really using your blog. Let's see when the last blog post was, August 5th. So you're really using your blog. Well, a couple months behind. Yeah, a couple months behind, but the blog looks really nicely done and set up. Oh, you're sharing recipes. Okay, I'm gonna have to bookmark this because that looked delicious. So it looks like you really know how to use your blog. I would definitely make sure to get a blog post in there once a month to keep it current. For me, on your website, what I'm missing the most is I'm missing that portfolio. I'm missing something that grabs my attention and says, this is where you go to see the best examples of the different type of photography that she does in a very undistracting environment, right? Not something that's going to be telling me pricing and all of that, but it's just going to let me focus on getting to know your work first. I feel like I'm missing that. And then I feel like I'm missing that about page, right? That page just says, now you've seen my work. Now this is who I am. And I want to let you know that we are going to connect, we're going to get along, and we're going to enjoy the time that we spend together during our session. So those are the things I feel like I'm missing. Other than that, I think your website is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for submitting your site. Hopefully I gave you guys some helpful tips today. We've got like 9 seconds left, so I'm going to go ahead and bring Dennis on. Let Dennis talk to you guys for a minute. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be reviewing one of your guys' sites live. So you have a couple of seconds, minutes maybe, to get your site submitted. And then I'll be back to whichever site gets randomly selected from one of you guys today. We'll be back to give that one a 15-minute review as well. But I'm going to go ahead and have Dennis jump on here and say hey to you guys for a minute, and I will be back here shortly.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Dennis with Zenfolio Customer Success, and just want to wish everyone a welcome and thank you for hanging out with us for this week's episode of Zenfolio Live. Just a reminder, if you've any questions, please enter them in chat. If you're joining from YouTube and you're, enter them in chat if you're joining from YouTube. And if you're joining from Zoom, you can use that Q&A button. So that way we can get answers to those questions for you. For more events like this one, feel free to check out our events calendar at zenfolio.com/community/events. And there you'll see our schedule of upcoming events, including our group training sessions and our Wide Angle Wednesdays, which is the first Wednesday of every month. So you don't want to miss that. And before I hand it off back to Robert, I just want to again say thank you for joining us and also submitting your websites for review. We really appreciate that. Don't forget to join us again next week for Zenfolio Live to get tips on preparing your photography business for growth with success coach Darcy Benacosa. So that should be really informative. You don't want to miss that. Thanks again, everyone. And back to you, Robert.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. Again, I appreciate Dennis jumping on here and hanging out with me on Thursdays. And for helping me yesterday, Dennis jumped on and moderated Wide Angle Wednesday yesterday while Richard was on the panel. So I really appreciate that as well. All three of us were up a little late past our bedtimes, but that's all right. We had a lot of fun. It was a good time. Guys, if you haven't joined us for a Wide Angle Wednesday yet, we have a lot of fun. Make sure that you're registered for those. They are totally different than Zenfolio Live, totally different than site reviews. We have a panelist of photographers. We try to mix it up, have different photographers on there, and we ask them different photography related questions. We did one on gear. We did one on just business tips. We did one yesterday on portrait sessions. And we're going to be doing more of those on different things like pricing, business, all kinds of stuff. So make sure that you're registered for those. They are a lot of fun. I see Roxanne Bay calling me out on how is 103 between 105 higher. And he said 103 in the chat. I said 103 back. My brain turned it into 203, and that was the site that I grabbed. So thanks for calling me out on that, Roxanne. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and do the live viewer site review. Let me get this pulled up. Today's site that was randomly selected is, and I'm going to totally pronounce this wrong. So if you're watching, which you are watching because you submitted your site, when I pronounce this wrong, please feel free to make fun of me in the chat for it. Let me get the link up here. Let me get the screen share going again. And we will get that review going. So let me get that going. All right. And I'm going to try to say, I think it's capturemomento.com. Like I said, I'm probably saying it wrong. My Spanish is not too great. I'm going to throw the link out there in Zoom for you guys and throw the link on YouTube for you guys. And hey, sorry, I'm going to try to get to some questions. I don't know if we have questions from the chat. I'm going to try to get to some questions, guys, but I've got to do this review. I should have said up front, when we do site reviews, normally it doesn't leave a lot of time for questions when we do 15 minutes per review. That's a lot of lot of time on the site reviews and not a lot of time left at the end for questions, but I will do my best to get to any questions that we might have. Let's go ahead and get 15 minutes up on the clock and start this review. All right, so just starting out the gate, some very beautiful images. I love how we have this nice, big, like opening slideshow, right? Of just these absolutely beautiful images. Now, one of the things that I'm noticing right now is that I was seeing some slideshow images, but now it's kind of stopped and parked on this one image. So one of the things you might want to do is go in and make sure that you have your slideshow set to loop, unless you had it turned off intentionally, and that's totally fine as well. So again, if I just refresh this really quick, we're going to see that slideshow start back up. It looks like it is kind of starting randomly. And then one thing I just caught as well is on this previous image here, let's go back right down here. We have a logo or a watermark. I'm not sure if that's on the image, but then on the next one, it kind of goes away. And also there's not really any kind of branding on this homepage. So while I love this, I would love to see some kind of branding, some kind of logo, something just to let me know the business name, the page that I'm on, something like that. So again, we kind of have some other logos down here. All right. Absolutely beautiful images though. Just gorgeous, gorgeous photos. And just watching these here, let's just see. Beautiful photos, beautiful, beautiful images. So I wouldn't say I would say that's about the right number of photos, right? I was only here for a few seconds. I feel like I've seen everything. The slideshow has stopped. So that's all of the images in there. I think that's about the right number of photos. They were absolutely beautiful. I know what type of photography you do. And now I can move on to your portfolio and let's check out your portfolio. All right, so it looks like in this case, you have opted for creating a portfolio showing kind of mix of your work. Looks like you do maybe some weddings, some quinceañeras, some kid photos, and I probably butchered that again, but you can make fun of me if I got it wrong. When it comes to this, a lot of people ask this question, and I like to bring this up. People ask, hey, should I do an overall portfolio that kind of has a few images from all of the types of photography that I do? Or should I have a separate portfolio for each type of photography? And I am going to answer that question every single time by saying you should have a separate portfolio for every type of photography that you do. The reason that I say that is because that helps your SEO, right? If you have a portfolio that contains a mix of all of your images, then you're kind of limited at the information you can have in there, right? So that is why I recommend having a portfolio for every different kind, because then you could have a drop down here that could say seniors, it could say family and kids, it could say weddings. And then inside of those separate galleries, then you have those portfolios titled with more information than just wedding photography. You have it titled with your location, wedding photographer portfolio or something like that. Then you have those images keyworded. Then you have the keywords and categories showing, and you have a caption. And the reason that I say do that is because every page that you build with that kind of information in it is a net that you're casting out, right? And I'm not a big fisherman. I don't know why I use this all the time, but it's really kind of the best way to explain it. Is that the more nets that you have out, obviously, the better chances you have of catching more fish, right? So the more pages that you can create with their own unique information, as far as, the text in there and the images that are in there and the categories, the captions, keywords, and all that stuff, the bigger of a net you're casting out. Now, you can definitely have a portfolio overview where if you want to make it simple to where somebody can just kind of go see a quick overview, you could have that. And then you could have in that drop down, you could say like portfolio overview, weddings, where they could then go into see specific portfolios. If you're going to do that, you definitely want to do that through a drop down. But that is my opinion on doing like an overview portfolio. If you want to have that, it's fine. You're hurting your SEO. You're limiting yourself just a little bit when you do that. Definitely think about doing one for every type of photography that you do. But yes, as Sharks is mentioning in the chat, some absolutely beautiful, beautiful photos. Lots of stuff here to talk about. This little overlay right here, is this really necessary? Is this something that you want to use? Also, when we're clicking on the image, looking at the image title right here, this looks like it's just the file name, right? And for client galleries, I definitely recommend that you stick with your file name, but for your portfolio galleries, think about updating the titles of the images in your portfolio gallery as well. Again, I'm not going to have time to really deep dive into this, but if you'll go check out the video that talks about the best settings for setting up your online portfolio, it's on our YouTube channel. It was just put out like at least the last month or so. It will really deep dive into all of this stuff that I'm talking about with SEO. All right, so definitely something to think about there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the videos page really quick. All right, so we've got some videos here. And I'm kind of left wondering, like as a visitor, right? Again, always trying to put myself in the visitor's shoes of never having interacted with you before, never spoken. Maybe we've spoken briefly and you handed me a card. Now I'm looking at your site for the first time. I click on videos and I have these squares, right? And so what you can think about is this little hover title that can actually show all the time. It doesn't have to show on hover. It can also show below here. So if you go into your gallery settings, you can actually change where that title shows, the text and all of that stuff. And just to make it a little bit more intuitive for visitors to see what this specific stuff is for. All right, let's take a look at this really quick. All right, and then so just to kind of show you here, this is a group, okay? So when we clicked on videos, we went to a group that has different galleries in it, all right? And the reason I know that is because when I click on weddings and suite 15, then I am taken to another page where now I have to click on a video here, all right? And so what you might think about doing is, again, utilizing the dropdown videos. And then in here, you would link to this. You would link to the other page as well, right? You would link to the businesses videos right here, right? This would be from a dropdown. And are these videos? Okay, they are videos. They didn't look like videos for a second. So it would just save me that extra step. And by me, I mean it would save your visitor that extra click of going to videos and then clicking on a video category and then clicking on an actual video and then having to click play. So that was, I think, at least 4 clicks to get to where I can finally click play on a video. Whereas if you had this set up as a drop down, I would go here, hit the drop down. So I would go up here, a drop down would come down, and then I would go directly into one of these to where then I would click on a video to hit play. So something to think about, right? Any of those little things where you can set it up like that to shave off some extra clicks to make your site less click intensive is going to be super helpful for your visitors and make the navigation experience of your website much more pleasant for them. All right. Next, we're going to go to your client access page really quick. Let's take a look at that. All right, so this is your client access page. It's a way that you can get your clients to their galleries, right? If you've never played around with client access before, it's pretty cool. Go check it out. One of the things that I always like to say about client access page is you know who's going to be using this, right? Clients are going to be using this. Yes, there's going to be some other people who like me are like, oh, well, what is this? Let me go check it out. But to progress past this point, I have to have some kind of code that you've given me. All right. And so if you know that this is a page where your clients are going to be coming, what a great place to say thank you, right? What a great space to use to tell them how much you appreciate them, to tell them what their business means to you, maybe to your family, to whatever. You can use this page as kind of a thank you page as well, because your clients are going to be the ones going here and navigating to this. So something to think about. Okay, next, let's go check out your About Us really quick. All right, nice about photo right here. I always recommend that you at least have an about photo, right? What I was saying earlier about pages. Now that people have seen your work and now that they maybe have checked on your pricing or whatever, they want to know about you, right? They want to know, are we going to get along? Are we going to like each other? What is it like to work with you? And that is what your about page needs to do. And it definitely needs to have a photo of you as well. All right. I think this is a great about photo. It also says right here, a mother, father, and son team. Now, with it saying that, I would definitely consider thinking about putting a photo up that kind of reflects that, right? Maybe something that's super personal, a photo of you three together that's not really set up and produced, something natural. But it's really cool that you have this here. There's a mother, father, and son team video and photography was the mean by which father and mother meet. They fell in love doing what they love doing most, which is capturing moments. After a couple of years, this is awesome. So this is really cool. I would love to see this in a video. I always talk about videos as well when I get in here. And I think one way to really connect with people, to really let your personality come across, is to use a video to communicate with them, to show and share your love of passion of why you do what you do. It sounds like you guys have an amazing and really great story. I would love to hear you tell it to me. I think this is really cool. All right, let's go check out your contact page. Sorry, guys, I had to get a sip of tea. Ooh, and it was the bottom of the teacup. I'm drinking ginger tea, and it was the bottom of the teacup where all of the ginger has accumulated. So I just took a bunch of ginger. Ooh, okay. This is the contact page. It looks like you have a built-in form here. So nice job actually getting into this custom page, embedding this form. Really nice stuff here. The Zenfolio does have a built-in contact page you can use, but this is really cool that you've gone in here and taken the time to actually get in here, embed this form, and set it all up. Nicely done. One of the things that I'm looking at, right, is how do I submit this form? I want to say that maybe once I fill these options out, a submit button would maybe appear. But one of the things you want to check is if this form is kind of messing up somewhere and it's not allowing that submit button to show, right? It's really important, you guys, that when you're designing your site, whenever you're setting your site up, and it's really important to do this, I would say at least a couple of times a year. Take your website, go onto a browser that you don't normally use. If you're in like Chrome or Safari or something like that, go in there and go into a private window or an incognito window. Go to a browser that you don't use, and go to your site and test it out, right? Go to your site and test it out. Send yourself an email through the contact form. Take yourself through the flows that you have set up for your visitors and your clients, right? Look at your portfolio, follow it through, see if you feel like you're being guided as a visitor to take some kind of action on this page. Do I feel like I'm being prompted to move forward and to look at the portfolio and then to contact the photographer? If not, how can I change my website or customize it to make me feel that way, to kind of guide me to taking some kind of action? Your contact page, are you actually able to send a message through the contact page? If so, and everything looks good, send it to a couple of friends. Have them try it out on their phones. Have them try it out on different computers. Make sure that everything's working, because sometimes we take for granted that something is working for us, and somebody might be on a different computer. They might be on a different browser, a different operating system, and something might look a little weird to them. And so you want to make sure that you're having other people test your site out as well, just to make sure that everything is working correctly like it should. All right. Okay. Let's go check out your blog. We got like a minute, 30 seconds left. All right. December 24th, 2013, December 24th, 2013. All right. So what I would suggest is, if you're going to have a blog up, definitely try to commit to doing a blog post once a month. It doesn't have to be a novel. It doesn't have to be anything fantastically produced. A couple of paragraphs, right? And some images to go along with that paragraph. Once a month at least. You don't want people landing on your blog, going in here and seeing December 24th, 2013. Now we're in 2020. And they're like, well, what has this person been doing since 2013, right? So definitely commit to trying to do a blog post at least once a month. The cool thing about Zenfolio's blog tool is if you get a weekend where you've got nothing going on, you can go in and you can schedule blog posts out to post at later dates, right? So what I would suggest is, if you're somebody like me who hates blogging, right, think about coming up with a format, right? And you guys can search this online. There's lots of tools that will help you come up with a blog post format of like talk about a few details here, mention something here, say something about this, and then share some images. If you hate blogging, come up with a blog format, come up with some images, and then one weekend a month, sit down and schedule a blog post for the next couple of months or whatever. That way it stays relevant, it stays fresh, and people aren't left wondering, are they still around? It's been 2013 and I don't know what's going on. All right. Unfortunately, I am out of time. I do want to say beautiful, beautiful photos. Absolutely great website. Just those few things that I mentioned. I would love to see a drop-down menu in there. And would love to see more portfolios. I love that you have the portfolio there, but would love to see it kind of sectioned out into different ones. All right. Hopefully I give you guys some good tips. I've got like 2 minutes left. Let me see. Are there any questions that I can answer in 2 minutes? I got to get my question doc pulled up here. Let me see if there are any questions that I can answer in like 2 minutes. Okay, Roxanne Bay, I thought when I logged into my site to do some work, I saw a post or news flash about being able to do invoice for clients. Did I miss this in the live stream? I think Dennis answered that one in the chat. If not, let me know, but I'm pretty sure he answered that on there. The other question I see is, what do I need to do to prevent opening a new tab and losing navigation? So that is going to be all in how you set up your site. All right. So when you are going in and you're creating your customization in your site menu, I don't have my website open, but there's a little box that you have to check that says open in a new tab. As long as you don't check that, it's going to open that and it's in the same tab. Or vice versa, right? If it's going to a different site and you want it to open up in a new tab, just check the box that says open in a new tab and it will open in the new tab. All right, something to look for in there. All right, you guys, unfortunately, we are about out of time. I do want to say thank you to all of you guys who hung out with me today. On Zoom, we have Anna, Anthony, Brandy, Kelly, Lynn, Noel, Norman, Renee, Robert, and Tony on YouTube. Thank you to Dave Patrick, Kathleen Riley, Sharks408, and let's see, Robert DeSosa. Hopefully, I think I'm saying your name right now. Twist, and let's see who else we have on here. Capture El Momento was on here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Hopefully, I gave you guys some good tips. Don't forget, we're going to be doing Zenfolio Live again next week, all about preparing your business for growth. It's going to be a really super exciting one. And hey, don't forget to register for Wide Angle Wednesday. The next one will be the first Wednesday of January. So that will be next year, not too much longer. Hopefully next year's got some good things in store for us. I'll see you guys again next Thursday. Until then, make sure that you guys have a safe, wonderful weekend. Make sure that you go do something nice for somebody, go do something positive for somebody, encourage somebody, help somebody, lift somebody up, and let's all work together to make this world a better place because it could really, really, really use it right now. Thank you guys so much. Have a great week and a great weekend. Bye, everybody.